Hi, everybody. Marianne Penska here with another edition of A Seat at the Table. This is our special Election 2020 edition to hopefully give you some information and clarify some questions you have about how to protect your vote in 2020. The information I'm going to share with you today is specific to Ohio, so I want to be very clear about that. And if you're in a surrounding state or any other state and you have any questions about voting in your state, my recommendation would always to be to use your county's Board of Elections as your resource. They generally have great information on the website, and I'm pretty sure that any question that you have will be able to be cleared up by their website. I've got a little PowerPoint to share with you today, so you don't have to look at me the whole time. Let me share this. The reason I'm doing this is primarily because there's a lot of noise out there, you know, between our relatives, between people we work with, or cable news or social media. There's just a lot of crap out there, to be honest. A lot of information about what's the best way to vote, how to safe way to vote, how to protect your ballot, how much fraud is going to go on, etc. But here's what I want you to keep in mind when you're thinking about 2020 elections. Number one, the elections are run by state, not federally. So what's going on in Utah or California, Nevada, New Jersey, generally does not impact you. So when you hear somebody all up in arms because a state is sending out ballots to dead people, don't focus on that. I want you to focus on you and what you can do to keep your vote safe. Another point is in Ohio, mail-in votes are the same as absentee votes. They're all processed by mail. Some states have an absentee process whereby they have to actually fill out an application to say why they want to vote by mail. They have to have an exception. Maybe they're going to be out of town, maybe they're sick or something like that, and they can't get to the polls. In Ohio, we are an at-will state, so we are at will to vote any way we want. So anybody who wants to vote by mail is free to vote by mail. The other thing too is I want to kind of address is the big question about how much fraud is in mail-in votes. Mail-in vote fraud is minuscule. The Election Registration Information Center officials identified that just 372 possible cases of either double voting or voting for a deceased person out of 14.6 million votes cast by mail in the 2016 and 2018 elections were potentially fraudulent. And that's only a 0.0025%. Let me tell you, the processes that your county board of elections does to scrutinize every single in-person or mail-in ballot, this stuff isn't going to get through. Even if somebody did try to double vote, it's going to get caught. And I'm going to show you a couple ways that it can get caught, or at least one way it can get caught. So what I want you to worry about is your vote first. First and foremost, your vote. We got to get it to count. We got to get it into the BOE as safely as we possibly can. So if you're not registered, register to vote. If you are registered, check your registration. And then we're going to talk about developing a voting plan. To register to vote in Ohio, you can do it one of two ways. You can do it online or in person. If you are 18 years or older, you can register. Anyone who's currently 17 who will be 18 before November 3rd can register. And in Ohio, if you're a convicted felon, you can actually register to vote with two exceptions. Number one, you can't still be in jail. And number two, your felony cannot have been related to anything election-wise. So no campaign finance fraud, no election fraud, etc. But if you have a felony conviction for any other reason, you can vote in Ohio. The voter registration form is pretty easy. The first two things you have to do is to certify that you are a U.S. citizen and that you will be at least 18 at the next general election. Then you go through and you fill out the rest of the information, your name, your address, the county where you live. And the two most important, I think, three most important pieces of information are your birth date, your Ohio driver's license, or the last 4 digits of your Social Security, And then on the bottom, your signature with a date. So those are the most important boxes to fill out whenever you're registering to vote. And the next step was to check your registration. And I'm going to show you 2 ways to do it in Ohio. The first one, you can go to the Secretary of State's site and you can go voteohio.gov. And if you'll see on the bottom boxes, you'll see check my voter registration, change my address, or register to vote. All very easy to do on the site. Or you can go to your county's site, and this happens to be Butler County. At the top left-hand corner, there's a little button that says, am I registered? I click on it, and it takes me to a little easy box to fill out. The Secretary of State site has kind of the same thing, and it's minimal information. Type in your last name, your house number, your street name, and then you can pull up voter information on yourself. And let me tell you that this is all public record, right? So the fact that you're looking at mine is no big deal. Anybody could look up mine if they had that information. And the top left is my name and my address, and the middle shows me what my polling location is, and the right-hand side shows me my district information, my precinct, my Ohio State district, my House district, and my U.S. congressional district. Below that will be links to a sample ballot. This is a screenshot that I did right after the primary. So the general election ballot is not ready to be uploaded to that site yet, but eventually it will be. The other thing I want you to just put note on is below my name and address, there's my absentee ballot status. And that's going to be real important when we talk about absentee ballots in a little while, or mail-in ballots, because this is actually where you would go to check the status of your mail-in ballot. So remember that that exists on your voter registration information. So your next thing I want you to do is develop a voting plan. There are 2 ways to vote, either in person or by mail. We're going to talk about in person first, because it's kind of what you're most familiar with. Early voting in Ohio begins October 6th at the County Board of Elections. So Hamilton County BOE, Warren County, Butler County, Montgomery County. The hours of early voting will be posted on the Board of Elections sites, so it's very specific, and they are open the 2 weekends prior to Election Day for those of you who need a weekend, some weekend hours in which to vote in person. Or you can just go to your regular polling place on Election Day on November 3rd. Let me tell you too that the County Board of Elections are all really diligently going to follow protocols that will keep you safe during voting should you decide to vote in person. There's going to be social distancing, masks, hand sanitizers, etc. Whenever you go, I think you're going to see a little different environment, but it's to keep you and our poll workers safe. Now, voting by mail seems to be all the big rage right now. In Ohio, we've been able to vote by mail for a while, so it's just, and every year it grows in popularity, but this year, of course, because of the coronavirus, it's going to be even more popular. To vote by mail, you have to send an application to vote by mail. You may have already received a couple in the mail from education centers or from a campaign, and the Secretary of State will also be sending them out to every registered voter the first 2 weeks in September. So you're going to get them in the mail. If you want to vote by mail, fill out that application as soon as possible. Your ballot, however, is not going to get mailed out until October 6th when early voting starts. You will then complete your mail-in ballot as soon as possible and return it to the Board of Elections either by mail or by dropping it off at the Board of Elections. Every county has a drop box at their county Board of Elections locations. So if you don't want to use the postage, if you want to make sure that it gets there, you can go and just drop it off. And if you're mailing your ballot, get it in the mail as soon as possible. I suspect that anybody watching this video already knows who they're going to vote for. So there is no need for that ballot to be sitting on your counter for 2 weeks before you fill it out and mail it in. As soon as you get that ballot in the mail, fill it out and get it back to the BOE as quickly as possible. And I'll give you an advantage on that in a minute. So if you're voting by mail, just a couple things to remember. If you're voting by mail, you actually have 3 pieces to worry about. You're going to have your ballot, you're going to have your inside envelope, and then you're going to have your outside envelope. Remember to sign and add your ID information to the ballot envelope. So your ballot's going to go into an envelope. You're going to sign that and put your ID information on that. And then that ballot envelope also goes into the mailing envelope that goes actually to the post office. Do not remove the stub from the ballot. And if you really want to be safe, put 2 stamps on your mail-in ballot. Now, this is what I was talking about that's really exciting. You can actually check the status of your ballot in Ohio. So if you make a ballot request, that is automatically put on your voter registration information at the Board of Elections. When the ballot is sent to you, it'll specify your ballot's been sent. And when the Board of Elections gets that ballot back, they actually put that information in there. So you'll be able to see for sure that the Board of Elections actually has received your ballot and it's safe and secure in the BOE. So the fact in Ohio that we can check the status of our ballot, just like it's an Amazon package, is terrific, so that you know your ballot got to the BOE. So here's some things I want you to remember. Number 1, check your registration. Number 2, you must vote. If you choose to vote by mail, get your application in as soon as possible. And then once you get your ballot, complete your ballot as soon as possible, and then send in or drop off your ballot as soon as you complete it. Also remember, the voters must be registered by October 5th. Early voting begins October 6th at your county Board of Elections, and then election day is on November 3rd. And don't forget to get your I voted sticker. There are other ways that you can get involved this election season. Number 1, you can volunteer to work on a campaign. So if you have a candidate that you truly love and you want to kind of be a part of their campaign and the action that's going on, you can absolutely do that. Or you can actually volunteer to work at the polls. And to work at the polls, contact your county. A lot of counties are still looking for poll workers. The more poll workers we have, the less likely there are to be lines and to process it and stuff like that. So as I stop sharing this video, I'm back. If you have any questions about the information that I just provided, or even about your state, if you put it in the comments below, I'll try and get to it and answer it. Again, the most important thing this election season is your vote. So make sure that you're doing absolutely everything you can to not only vote and be able to vote, but to secure your vote and feel confident that your vote's being counted and that the process is working as smoothly as I know it's going to. So until next time, have a great day and thanks for watching.